Hey traders, Raghee here, and in this recap video we're going to cover a question that I've been getting a lot, and that is, what's the deal with gold? When is it going to turn around? And what can we take away from the current market trend? So the plan is, hey, what if anything can we do with gold? And typically the insinuation is, when can we buy this thing? And really there's a couple things we have to shift our understanding of gold on. Number one, ever since the negative interest rate policy that we saw sweep across Europe some years back, gold really became another currency. It became something that really keyed off in many ways what happens in the euro and what happens in the US dollar. So you really can think of gold as a dollar and or euro sensitive name. Now, it doesn't have sympathetic movement to the euro. That's not really the point. What it does have is an inverse or negative relationship back to the US dollar. So the sooner you stop thinking about gold as a yellow precious metal, the sooner you stop thinking about gold as a safe haven, which it's not anymore, and the more you think about it as a currency, the more it's going to make sense. Now, in the last few months, what has happened? Whether that be the tariffs, the ratcheting up of the tariffs, whether that be NAFTA meltdowns, who's going to build the wall, all the uncertainties, expectations even that we're looking at a cycle top in the equities markets, none of that's budged gold from the downtrend. If anything, throughout mid-June to now early August, we've seen, if anything, an acceleration of the movement lower. So if that doesn't already start to click with the fact that gold isn't a safe haven, then you'll wonder, well, what is the safe haven? It's the dollar, gang. The dollar still has a tremendous amount of demand. The dollar has been benefiting from the tariff narrative. And by the way, it's the strong dollar that's also helping the Russell along with this tariff narrative, right? So the bottom line is this. Before you go think about where and when you can start to buy gold, remember that it is in a very, very confirmed and organized downtrend. That's number one. Number two is, think of gold as the third domino that has to fall before you can even start to build a narrative for a long position. Now, I do believe, based upon minor psychological levels, that the next layer of support, and also previous support, by the way, previous Darvis levels that are hanging out here, our next layer of support for gold really waits between 1220, 1230 even, and 1200, even 1195. So there's about a $40 range, and if gold is going to bottom, it's going to start about 1230, and that low could extend all the way down to 1195. So really right around the 1200 major psychological level. That's number one. And that would be basically testing what would be an oversold weekly. This is a weekly chart, by the way. Take a look at the upper left-hand corner. It's being oversold weekly zone of support for gold. Now, why I say it's the third domino is this. If the dollar doesn't roll over, the euro is not going to head higher. So whether it's the ECB ending the taper and sending the euro higher, whether it's the FOMC starting to signal to the market that they're going to slow down the trajectory of hikes, maybe they're going to pass on the December hike, right? Or maybe they're going to only have 2 to 3 hikes in 2019 as opposed to maybe 3 to 4. If we see, instead of an expectation of 150 basis points higher by the end of 2019, and if instead of that we see only maybe 100 basis points higher, the dollar will start to roll over, and simultaneously the euro is going to start to find some footing on the dollar weakness and on its own narrative, which is now we see the ECB end the asset purchase program, which they've been winding down for a while. Now we're talking about an end. When those happen, in whichever order it should, and I believe both those things are going to happen, that is when, that's this third domino. Now we can talk about gold. But until those two things happen in these other currencies, and yes, gang, remember, gold behaves as a currency now until something happens in those two currencies. Remember, dollar weakness, FOMC, euro strength, ECB, until that happens, don't go bottom picking. It's not even a pleasant visual, right? Don't go bottom picking in gold. Remember, it's in a downtrend. We need some help. That's the help you're looking for. I'll see you in the next episode.